We begin with a quick recap of part 1 and 2 as we head into part 3. In the wake of World War II, Princesses Elizabeth and Margaret became beacons of hope, yet the media's fascination with royal life quickly turned from respectful curiosity to intrusive obsession. Princess Margaret's star-crossed romance with Peter Townsend exposed the growing tension between royal privacy and tabloid appetite, setting a template for scandal and spectacle that would only escalate. By the late 20th century, this dynamic exploded into the global phenomena of Diana and Fergie. The media crowned Diana the people's princess, but hounded her, and Sarah Ferguson mercilessly, fueling public fascination while leaving lasting personal scars. Diana's tragic death in 1997 forced Britain to confront the consequences of relentless tabloid pursuit. But the addiction to royal drama and the media's power to shape it never truly ended. Welcome. This is Majesty's Sussex Report, and I'm Antonio. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time here with us. Let us not be fooled. What we've witnessed is not monarchy. It is not tradition. It is not pageantry or continuity or heritage. It is performance, polished, scripted, rehearsed for the masses, a soap opera in our mind, playing daily across newsstands and timelines. The British crown, for all its centuries of lore, now lives in a palace of glass, not to be revered, not to be observed, to be judged, and when convenient, to be shattered. The heir are groomed in duty, despair, are offered in sacrifice. Margaret's heartbreak was tradition. Diana's death was spectacle. Meghan's tears were monetized. Harry's grief, that was a headline.
Even as the world mourned Diana, the media swiftly turned its gaze to the remaining royals, and there was plenty of tabloid fodder to be had. The 1990s and 2000s saw a series of scandals around Queen Elizabeth II's children that tabloid newspapers feasted upon, exposing uncomfortable truths about how each royal generation coped or failed to cope with press scrutiny. Prince Charles, as Diana's widower and the heir to the throne, faced a tremendous task of rehabilitating his public image in the wake of the very public marital war. For years, he had been cast as the villain to Diana's victim, lampooned in the press as cold, unfaithful, even unfit to be king. The publication of his intimate Camilla-gate phone recording in 1993, Tampon-gate, as the gutter press sniggered, had been a low blow, especially as the affair was already common knowledge, serving no purpose but to shame him. In that moment, Charles learned how helpless even the high and mighty could be against tabloid ridicule. It's hard to see what legal recourse he had, one observer noted of the Camilla Gate leak, since the embarrassing content was true and already leaked abroad. The tabloids had shown they could hold even the future king hostage to public humiliation. Prince Andrew, Charles's younger brother, fared no better in the press, and in many ways became an object of even greater tabloid scorn once Diana was gone. As a swaggering bachelor in the 1980s, Andrew had been one of the world's most eligible bachelors, nicknamed Randy Andy by the tabloids for his seemingly endless string of young women. The press played up his playboy image with a wink and a nudge. One Daily Mail headline in his heyday read, "Randy Andy and his web of arm candy." Society pages breathlessly chronicled his gallery of crumpet. As one editor put it, detailing every model or starlet he squired about. This was partly benign prurience, but it also fit a pattern. In his youth, partying was what second sons were expected to do. Journalist Zoe Williams notes, "That is the problem with being the younger brother of the heir. The press can only think of one interesting thing about you, who you date or marry." In other words, the spare was pigeonholed by the media as the rompish counterpoint to the heir's dutiful family man image. Andrew obligingly filled that role. By the 1990s, however, the tone shifted dramatically. After Andrew's own marriage to Fergie imploded in scandal and divorce, the press's mild amusement turned to open contempt. No longer a dashing action prince, as he'd briefly been hailed for his Falklands War service in 1982, middle-aged Andrew quickly became, in the public eye, the hapless, useless royal. He went from being the golden prince to being the embarrassing uncle in a series of very inevitable steps. As biographer Catherine Mayer observed caustically, freed from any pretense of protecting his reputation, tabloids dredged up every embarrassing detail. His dubious business dealings, his extravagant travel, billed to the public, earning him another sobriquet, Air Miles Andy. And of course, his disastrous personal associations. Most notorious was his friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, which exploded into public scandal by the late 2010s. When Prince Andrew attempted to clear his name in a 2019 BBC interview, his denial of wrongdoing and absurd claims, such as that he was medically incapable of sweating, only further triggered a race between medics and picture editors to disprove him. As one writer quipped, the interview was an unmitigated PR catastrophe, and the press tore into Andrew with unbridled glee. The once golden prince was now eviscerated in headlines as a royal disgrace. If there was any lingering notion that being the Queen's son earned you immunity from media attack, Andrew's downfall erased it. Notably, as Andrew's and Charles's reputations alternately plummeted, the media often framed their criticism as being in service of the monarchy's greater good. Tabloids professed outrage on behalf of the dignity of the crown, even as they splashed salacious details. Periodically, some huffing royal watcher would be wheeled out to say it was the Queen they felt sorry for, her dignity undermined by the capers of her children, recalls columnist Zoe Williams. This performative moralizing, feigning patriotic duty while profiting from royal messes, became a hallmark of certain British media. After all, scandal sells papers, but appearing anti-royal could alienate readers. The solution was to claim one was exposing these royal scandals out of loyalty to the institution or the taxpayers. In truth, it was about sales and clicks. The hypocrisy was not lost on insiders. As far back as the 1970s, a journalist had mocked how tabloids combined snobbish, coy, and explicitly sexual coverage of Margaret's failings while couching it in the language of homily, preaching morality even as they reveled in the transgressions. By the turn of the millennium, the cumulative effect of these scandals had eroded trust within the royal family as well. Years of leaks and scoops left many royals paranoid that their own relatives or staff were selling them out. During the worst of the tabloid hacking era, more on that shortly, family members even suspected each other of feeding information to reporters. In reality, some of that intelligence came from illegal phone hacking and other illicit methods, but the damage was done. The years of phone hacking destroyed trust within the family, one inquiry noted, as victims couldn't fathom how papers got their scoops and thus accused those around them. Prince Harry later reflected that this atmosphere made him especially wary and resentful, as headlines fomented rifts and propulsive narrative by pitting one member of the family against another: Diana against Camilla, Kate against Meghan, William against Harry. The media's constant framing of royal rivalries in stark, zero-sum terms, the virtuous one versus the troublesome one, became a self-fulfilling prophecy, deepening real divides. None of this, however, stopped the monarchy and media from continuing their intricate dance of mutual dependence and manipulation. In fact, amid the rubble of the 90s scandals, a new breed of palace operator emerged, determined to take control of the narrative, even if it meant getting into bed with the tabloids that had caused so much grief.
The Crown has always been a theater of shadows, managed not by monarchs alone, but by those behind the veil. The men in grey are not a new invention. In the time of Queen Elizabeth I, her most trusted advisor, William Cecil, later known as Lord Burleigh, was the architect of her image, the strategist behind her survival. He sanctioned spies, he fed the public a legend, and when the threat grew too close, it was Elizabeth who signed her cousin's death warrant. Mary, Queen of Scots, family by blood, rival by birthright, was sacrificed for the illusion of unity. How far will power go to protect itself? What happens when family becomes a liability to the throne? These are questions I need answered. So, what do you think? How far will power go to protect itself? And what happens when family becomes a liability to the throne? Fast forward centuries, and little has really changed. Today's courtiers may wear tailored suits instead of cloaks, but their purpose is the same: to shape perception, to protect the sovereign, even if it means silencing dissent from within the bloodline. Here are some more questions for you. Why is it that the only time the royal family speaks with clarity is when it's through an anonymous source quoted in the press? The Queen did not like Meghan. She engineered her relationship with Prince Harry. Those are the new whispers, the new narrative. And the Queen has been dead for over a year. Really? Really, folks? So, explain to me then, why did Queen Elizabeth II invited Meghan to ride on the royal train with her? Why it is that when they came back for the Jubilee, the Queen made sure that they had top-notch security. Also, she arranged for them to have a private meeting with her. Why? Why would that be possible if the Queen so hated or disliked Meghan? Why does the press still speak for the dead, if not to keep the living in their place. Meanwhile, King Charles, alive, crowned, and conscious, remains mute. Not a word, not a word in defense of Meghan, not a word about his grandchildren. Why is King Charles, the sovereign, so afraid to speak the truth? Is it trauma? What is it? Is it fear of the press or fear of those within his own palace walls? The same palace that leaked on his mother, on his son, on his wife, and now on his legacy. I smell a Camilla. And if he won't defend his own family, then who is he defending? I think I give the answer already. And who, behind the scenes, is really calling the shots? I already give the answer. The British press has always needed its saints and sinners. Diana was both. Camilla was the villain until she managed to change the script. Kate is a symbol, Meghan is a scapegoat. And the courtiers, the men in grey, ensure the casting never deviates from the plan. Do we really believe the chaos of the 1990s was an accident? Or was it the price of keeping power centralized, protected, and profitable? If the royals have learned anything from history, it's this: family can be sacrificed, perception must be preserved, and the real power never sits on the throne. Once again, thank you for being here. Every time you watch, comment, or share, it means more than you know. I pour my heart into this work because I believe in it. And clearly, if you're here, something brought you too, and it's not my pretty face. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is your moment. Click that button. It's free, and it makes a real difference. And hit the notification bell so you will be one of the first people to be notified when something new and meaningful goes up. If you feel moved by what we're building, consider going a step further. There's a Buy Me a Coffee link and a membership option if you'd like to help us keep this going strong. It's like lighting a little candle for something you believe in. And whether you're here quietly or loud and proud, leave a comment if you can. It helps the message travel. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Princess Diana famously referred to palace courtiers as the men in gray suits, accusing these shadowy advisors of betraying her confidence and putting the institution's image above her well-being. In her 1995 Panorama interview, she spoke of an unnamed establishment that resented her popularity and worked to clip her wings. Decades later, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, would similarly speak of the institution and draw a line between the royal family and those who run the show behind closed doors. In both women's experiences, these courtiers were the puppet masters of image and information, often cutting deals with the very media that hounded the royals, all in service of protecting the crown. Indeed, the role of royal spin doctors and private secretaries became increasingly pivotal as media scrutiny intensified. One watershed moment came in the late 1990s, when Prince Charles hired a new communications guru, Mark Bolland, to rehabilitate his and Camilla's public image following Diana's death. Bolland was a consummate PR man, clever, charming, manipulative, as one account put it, and he understood that in order to remake Camilla from hated mistress to accepted future consort, the palace would have to engage directly with the tabloid press. Prince Harry would later describe Bolland's tenure in scathing terms, alleging in his memoir Spare that she and Prince William were collateral damage in the campaign to rehabilitate Camilla. The young princes believed Bolland and Camilla's team were deliberately leaking unflattering stories about them to divert attention or curry favor with editors. Revelations support Harry's view. Under Bolland, Charles's office grew notably close to select tabloid reporters and editors. Bolland himself had been director of the Press Complaints Commission, so he had easy access to Fleet Street editors and was friends with Rebecca Wade Brooks, then editor of News of the World. Unflattering stories about other royals were appearing in the press, causing alarm at Buckingham Palace, and critics attributed this partly to Bolland, saying he operated on a Charles good, all other royals bad principle. In one instance in 2002, News of the World obtained evidence of 17-year-old Prince Harry's underage drinking and cannabis use. Unable to kill the story, Bolland instead collaborated. He informed the tabloid that Charles had already taken Harry to a rehab clinic as a scare-straight measure. The result was an overspun, front-page exclusive casting Charles as the concerned single dad intervening to save his wayward son. The headline trumpeted, "Worried Charles sends Harry to rehab," and quoted a family friend saying Harry had learned his lesson. It was a PR coup for Charles's camp. A win-win for Charles, as the article put it, but it came squarely at Harry's expense, splashing his teenage troubles across every newsstand. Harry later wrote that he was horrified, sickened, by being spun right under a bus to portray Charles as a harried single dad coping with a drug-addled son. Another alleged Bolland leak targeted Prince William's household. When William was at university, his Uncle Edward's TV production crew once breached an agreement by trying to film him. Immediately, stories appeared claiming Charles was incandescent with his brother Edward, quoting a royal aide who even called Edward a f-ing idiot. Bolland later admitted, "It's probably got my fingerprints on it." This tactic, hanging other royals out to dry via anonymous quotes, raised tensions behind palace walls. By 2003, Bolland was pushed out amid concerns he had pulled one string too many and become the real power behind the future king. But his legacy was clear. He had dragged the palace into a closer embrace with tabloid culture than ever before. As one former royal correspondent mused, Bolland's job was to make Camilla more presentable, and he was very, very successful. He achieved it in part by trading stories. What Harry in particular calls leaking, well, that's just information. One royal insider cynically said in defense of Bolland's methods. In other words, to the old guard, it may have been leak and betrayal, but to the PR minds, it was business as usual, feeding the press beast some morsels in order to win it over. This invisible contract between the monarchy and the media is something Prince Harry has since spoken of openly. There's the invisible contract behind closed doors between the institution and the tabloids, he told Oprah Winfrey in 2021. If you as a family member are willing to wine, dine, and give full access to these reporters, then you will get better press. In other words, play nice with the press. Grant interviews, leaks, photo ops, and the tabloids will scratch your back. Snub them and expect the claws to come out. Harry asserted that senior royals and their staff were scared of antagonizing the tabloids, appeasing them to avoid negative coverage. In his and Meghan's view, this fear drove family members to throw the Sussexes under the bus repeatedly in exchange for favorable treatment of others. He even alleges that his brother William's office traded negative stories about Harry to keep William's image clean, a claim underlined by the fact that William himself was reportedly furious in 2019 about Pa and Camilla's people planting unflattering stories about him and his wife. In the end, the courtiers and men in gray are essentially mediators or co-conspirators in this royal media ecosystem. Some, motivated by a genuine if misguided sense of duty, believe that managing press relations, however Machiavellian it gets, is necessary to keep the business of monarchy turning. Many of these advisors have a notion of public service at the core of what they believe, and a belief in protecting the monarchy at all cost. It's part of their identity, even as they resort to flattery or scheming. Certainly, not all courtiers leak or manipulate. Some, no doubt, work earnestly to protect the family's interests without selling their souls to Fleet Street. But the system they operate in has, over generations, developed an almost feudal codependency with the tabloids. The crown relies on the tabloids to remain in the public consciousness and sustain the magic of royalty. The tabloids rely on the crown to fill pages and coffers, and the courtiers often broker the terms of that uneasy truce. They call them courtiers, but really they are gatekeepers of myth, editors of legacy, and sometimes executioners of truth. From William Cecil, Lord Burghley, crafting the invincible image of Elizabeth I, to Mark Bolland reshaping Camilla from pariah to consort, the job has always been the same: protect the throne at any cost. But what is the cost when the enemy is your own blood? Princess Diana tried to tell us. Meghan Sussex tried to warn us. They spoke of the institution as something apart from the family, an invisible regime of gray suits, backroom deals, and silence traded for favor. Why is it that in the House of Windsor, those who speak the truth are seen as the threat? When Harry said, "There's an invisible contract," we gasped. But the truth is, we've always known. We've known that spin doctors leaked on children, that Camilla's redemption came at the cost of 2 sons being dragged, that a palace insider admitted, "It probably has my fingerprints on it." What kind of institution sacrifices its heirs for headlines? Who decides who is loved and who is leaked on? And if the monarchy needs to play this dirty just to survive another day, does it even deserve to? Even today, the tabloids quote the dead queen's preferences as if she were still giving briefings. They rewrite her thoughts. They declare who she approved and who she despised. They speak for her because it serves the script. But where is the proof? Didn't she offer Meghan kindness, a shared car ride, private lunch, and laughter? Why are we so eager to believe the words of the press that destroyed her son's mother? Why does King Charles not fight back? Is it fear? Or has the crown become so entangled in the press's pocket that even the monarch wears a leash? And in this world of shadow negotiations and silent settlements, what is the value of truth? What happens when justice is buried beneath royal protocol? What legacy is left for the children when protection becomes betrayal? Final question for the audience. If Princess Diana was hunted to death, and her sons are still sold for cover stories, and her daughter-in-law was nearly driven to take her own life, when will the crown stop feeding its young to survive?
Why do bad things happen to good people? And God answered, even the strongest trees face the harshest winds. Every struggle has a purpose, to make you stronger. I asked again, then why do I feel so alone? And God said, just because you can't see the sun at night doesn't mean it's not there. I am always with you, even in silence. With a heavy heart I asked, will things ever get better? And God answered, yes, but in my time, not yours. Trust me, the storm will pass, and the sun will shine again. I hesitated before asking, but what if I'm not strong enough? And God replied, when you are weak, I am your strength. You don't have to do this alone.
Well, hello everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's episode on the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you either learned something or um, the knowledge you had already is being reinforced. Right? Uh, it's a continuation of the series uh, Palace of Glass, and in this one, of course, we concentrated on King Charles, more so, when he was Prince Charles, Prince Andrew. Looked at the courtiers and their influence, the men in gray. And when I say like the men in gray suits, like, I don't mean that that's all they wear, right? We're just coining that phrase because Princess Diana coined that phrase to talk about those people, right? The communication directors, the assistant to whoever, and the this and the that, the people who actually have pull and are doing a lot of the decision making also behind the curtains per se. So I really hope you enjoy that. I mean, the more I investigate, right? The more research I do, the more I learn. Like the surface of all of this, I think most of us have that knowledge already. But going a couple layers down and you start to realize you're like, holy macaroni, right? Like this stuff is serious. I mean, the British monarchy is it's not just a family. It's not just a relic. It's or even because some people may look at it and think it's a national symbol, they identify with it and they make it part of their identity. That's why so many people are so offended because it's my part of my identity. No, it's not. um, but it is in many ways an economic engine powering a global entertainment industrial complex, right? With revenues that I would say rival the GDP of any small nation. It's fascinating because you have royal reporters, you have paparazzi, you have costume designers, you have the souvenir makers, the tour guides, the Netflix producers, the documentary producers, all this other stuff, um, the photographers, all of that is part of that machine, right? It fascinates me, and to look and see how these storylines that are invented by the media to continue this British soap opera of who's going to be the villain and who's going to be the hero, and I mean it's very clear who they think the villain is and who the hero is now, and it's just this big ball that consumes, I think, so much within the UK. And that is why also I think not much is going to change because so many people are plugged into that industry and that is where they get their livelihood from, right? I mean, when we look at the wedding of Meghan and Harry, that wedding alone had a boost to the UK economy of $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion just plugged into to the economy. That's incredible, incredible. It was the highest viewing royal wedding ever, and I think this also is the highest amount of money infused into the economy. So when you hear these people going, "Oh well, the Queen paid or the Crown paid $5 million for the wedding, or 10 million, or 20, I don't care how much," trust me, they got back not only all their money, but they made 1,000% in in profit, right? That actually helped went directly into the UK economy. And uh, the Daily Fail, which is goes under the company name is I think is DMGT. They in 2022 their revenue Their revenue in 2022 was 974 million pounds. 974 million pounds. Do you understand why these people are not going to give up? They're not going to give up. And knowing that, you just have to say Megan, and you get the click automatically, right? They're not going to stop. Look at even um, Palace Confidential, that show. So now they're doing these other shows now because they realize, I mean, not like they didn't know before, of course they knew this before, but they're doing these other shows, so like spin-offs, and just it's always about the Sussexes. Always, right? It's just money making profit there for them. It's very lucrative. So I don't think that's gonna go anywhere at all. But the goal was to sort of tell that story, to see where this relationship between media and the royal family start to be a little bit more intrusive, right? And the intention that was behind that, and how throughout the years it's just eroded into what it is today. But no one on the royal on the British royal family, right? Whether it's the king or the heir apparent, have the guts, have the cojones, have the spine. I mean, what are they going to do? Print a couple of nasty like, you are the sovereign. You're the sovereign. You can have any interview, any the BBC or whatever. They want to put a smear campaign. Get on freaking TV. Fight them with their own medium and call them out. But they're such cowards. The only person who stood up to them, and thank goodness he did, is Prince Harry. And I'll tell you, when he got that apology and included Princess Di, oh man, I'm saying it right now. I'm getting choked up because uh, okay, I'm not gonna get into that because like I'm gonna get all like I just think, I mean, we can't change the past. It's past. It's in the past. But just to think, all the possibilities that could have been, it's just so terribly sad, terribly sad. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so have you some of the things that I was thinking about, right? I have a few questions here. Did you ever stop to wonder how much money is really being made off of this royal drama in general? Right? I gave you a little bit of, you know, quantitative money there with how much the wedding infused into the UK economy and how much the Daily Fail made in revenue in 2022. And why do you think some royals are protected while others are sacrificed or, you know, are given up to the wolves? And do you think there's ever going to be a time when the monarchy and media can separate, right? Can separate and not do this whole toxic, damaging thing for profit, right? Where they feel so obliged to like put up with it and whatever else. And I just think it's just quite awful, 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 awful what they do. And I think more shame goes to the British public, though. I'm sorry. The shame goes to the people who buy this stuff. As that editor said in the last episode, he's like, well, they're the ones who are giving us the pound 50 or whatever it is. So they're buying it every day, every week, right? So you want change, you have to actively work for it, and money means everything. Money makes the world go round. So all right. One of the other things I wanted to comment on that I've been seeing a lot is this whole Netflix contract not being renewed. Listen, folks, fine. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, maybe there's another alternative. one can report on it as I'm doing right now until an official right announcement is made. It is what it is. Now, for the people who are celebrating, I can't start to tell you how stupid you are. I can't start to tell you that you really need to think. Grab a mirror if you've got one, look at yourself in the mirror, and just say, am I this stupid? Am I this stupid? If they had the contract, which is reportedly it was worth $100 million, baby, that's already signed for, the check already cleared, the money already delivered. So one way or another, thank you very much, hallelujah, thank you, baby Jesus, right? So what happens is, if this is the case, Netflix might be saying, okay, well, we usually used to do these multi-million dollar deals where, we 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 negotiate 100 million for content. So what they're basically saying is like, okay, so we're not doing that kind of contract anymore. What we'll be doing is sort of like product by product. So Meghan and Harry have a project or a proposal on, as video on or docu series on safari in Kenya, right? Go to Netflix, blah 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 blah. They're like, okay, we like this. Okay, $20 million. Okay, perfect, right? To have another project, they go to Netflix and nah, we're gonna pass on that. So then they go to Paramount, and Paramount say, oh, we love this. Okay, $20 million, right? So it just gives them more possibilities too. If the case is that they now are going to be free, my words here, free agent, to, so they can go to other platforms and stuff. But it is so disgusting, though, so disgusting to see some of the comments of people celebrating. I keep thinking, how toxic, how horrible your life must be, because the people who do that, that's nothing to Meghan and Harry. That's nothing. It means nothing to them. But that says so much about you. You, the person posting, oh, I'm so happy that their contract is not being renewed. Good, la 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 la. La. It's so, and people wonder why the world is the way it is today. Lack of empathy, lack of understanding. You have these freaking, there's this other person the other day I saw on TikTok. She's a coach. She coaches people. And she's like ranting all these awful things about the Duchess of Sussex. And I keep thinking, who is paying you to coach them? Because I would drop your coaching sessions immediately. Like, if I don't know if it's good or what, but if there's one silver lining in some of this, is people's true feelings, things they believe in, is being exposed, because they all think it's just la di da. I'm going to jump on the bandwagon. I'm going to get clicks, and I'm going to be monetized really quickly, and I'm going to get like 100,000 and I'm going to go viral, and I'm going to say, "Well, Meghan Markle sucked, and I can't." That says nothing about Meghan Markle, Sussex. Nothing. It says nothing about Prince Harry. Nothing. It says everything though about you, the person posting it, the person celebrating. It's like celebrating that a person's house went on fire because you really hated that they got new furniture or something. Awful, 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 awful. Like I used to think, when I would read about experiments that are done, either in university, especially after World War II, trying to understand why people did the things they did. And I mean, these are intelligent people also, right? And you read these sort of research paper, and you're thinking, why would they follow that? Why would they do this? And time again, humanity, we keep clicking the button to punish the person on the other side of the window because, hey, I'm not the one getting electrocuted, so I don't care. I'll click the button. As ever, number one, that product line, right? That joint venture with Netflix. I mean, they can't keep things for over an hour. Sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. And they're not even international yet. They're not even international yet. So I'm not even worried one bit. Not even one bit. And the other thing about the peace talks here, peace talks. Why? It's literally people telling. It's like you going into someone's home, right? And like I said, two brothers are fighting, arguing or whatever, and you telling them what to do when you don't know these people. All these articles. Oh, the king should never forgive Harry, and his brother William will make sure he takes the titles away. And I'm like, oh, you pissy little bitter people, bitter people. Like, look at yourself. Look how nasty you are. Nasty, nasty, nasty. I can smell you from here, nasty. Gosh, get a life. Get a life. All right. Oh, well. I think I'm going to stop it there for today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking around. Love you folks very much. Thank you for your continued support of this channel. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share, to leave a comment, to I don't know, share it to 10 people, even if even if you don't know them. Oh boy. Anyways, please stay hydrated. If you're going out and stuff, take a bottle of water with you. It's just been so hot, at least here in this city. So hot. So hot and warm. So stay hydrated, please. As Cookie and Creams always tells us. General Commander Sergeant Cookie and Creams always tells us to stay hydrated. And remember, pegging is only for William. Okay? All right? So thank you. Thank you all. Take care of yourself. Be kind. And until we speak again, bye for now. Mwah.
I spend my time just racking my brain just to fill the space, but you give